Lessons from the Rockies, part of the Wild Range Project. So this week's theme I tried to write about, it had to do with some trips that we did throughout the state, trying to figure out what we can do within our organization to help ranchers and private landowners deal with wolves. Obviously a hot button issue, so I tried to write some things this week to kind of tap into really what's going on, what's fueling a lot of the drama and misunderstanding and frustration that both ranchers and wildlife managers are feeling right now. Stuff in the Rockies has changed so fast in the last 15 years. The amount of recreation out there has tripled. National parks are bursting at the seams. More and more people are able to get remote jobs are moving to areas, especially in Colorado and Montana, to where they can recreate and enjoy the outdoors more, which is awesome. The more people that enjoy nature and get out there and treasure it, the more ways we'll find it to keep it thriving and find ways that we can have wildlife and wild places and still enjoy them, raise food out on the land, cattle and farming and hunting and all of that with more people and more hikers, hunters, canoers, skiers. The more pressure it puts on the land, the more people tend to start arguing over things. Anytime you put a group of people in a room that care about something, it can get a little heated. And that's kind of what's going on with the wolves. Here in Colorado, they're reintroduced wolves. It's been kind of a mess for everybody. They're trying to get to where there's more and more open space for bison, wolverines. How do we balance the elk population in the state? Disease has been a big problem, more than people realize, with elk and bighorn sheep and deer. It kind of slips under the radar because it's kind of a silent problem and it's really hard to understand. So it's really why, as an organization, we're working on the wolf thing, because the reason it gets so heated is because there's a face. There's a furry animal showing up, causing a lot of uncertainty, fear. Are they going to eat my cows? They're howling at night. What does that mean? It's far more tangible. It's easier to get more stressed around something that's tangible and you can see, and like I said, and then everyone argues about if they're going to wreck the elk population, whereas disease or global warming affects elk populations. There's no face to it. There's nothing tangible behind it. So what we've been working on is trying to get a program built to where we can put a version of a range rider, kind of an old school cowboy, one part cowboy, one part conservationist, one part kind of public liaison, somebody out there on the landscape every day, a known person that's there for the long term. They're out there kind of navigating these relationships. The wildlife managers and the ranchers and several different nonprofits have been trying to have meetings and come together and build relationships. But, it all comes down to what's the presence out on the landscape every day, really, that makes the difference. Ranchers often get to know a landscape really better than anyone else because they're out there every day. Rain, snow, cold, heat. They're out every day, learning the landscape, keeping track of their cows. And they have been doing it for, some of them passed down for over 100 years. So we're trying to kind of capture some of that, really more from a wildlife standpoint, to where we can kind of speak to where the wildlife are, what's going well, where they need help, the habitat, and then also coordinating with the people that make their living out on the land, such as ranchers and loggers, and just kind of adding to that boots on the ground everyday relationship. There's no way to better get to know the people and the community but by out there every day showing up. And that's tough to do in a lot of nonprofits and wildlife management organizations, whether it's state or federal. They're always trying to work with their budget and manage things as a biologist, time in the different studies, time in the office, time in the field. They're often stretched thin, just like ranchers. Ranchers are the same way. On one hand, they gotta manage their business, they gotta manage the cows, they gotta manage the family, a couple of employees. Whereas what we're trying to do is, how do we put somebody out on the landscape every day, and their primary focus is to build relationships, try to navigate tough issues like the wolves. One of the hardest things with wolves is the uncertainty. They can cover 20 or 30 miles in a night. And it just scares the heck out of a lot of people. There's so many unknowns around them, like whether they're gonna attack people or cattle or what, and complex. Anytime you put something complex in an area with a lot of people, you have a lot of potential for things to get messy. So that's what I try to write about in this week's Lessons for the Rockies. It's gonna touch on some of those issues, some of the things hunters and ranchers and hikers are all feeling, kind of in an way that just kind of captures both sides, and tackles some of the real issues going on with the Rockies. There's no snow this winter. Less and less rain, more and more scarcity on water, more and more people out on the land means more and more scarcity for wildlife. Wildlife can adapt to live around a lot of people. And there's cars and hunting and lack of habitat. Not everybody wants 100 elk on their hay fields or their golf course all winter. So where do they go? Where do they go? So that's what this week tried to capture. I hope you enjoy it. And try to drop a little teaser what we're going to work on for next week's stuff. Alrighty, thanks for tuning in.